Okay, good morning, everyone. I'd like to call the meeting to order and acknowledge that we're in Treaty 1 territory, the home and traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Ojibwe, Innu Cree, and Dakota peoples, and the national homeland of the Red River Métis. Our drinking water comes from Shoal Lake 40 First Nation and Treaty 3 territory. My name is Neil Harden. I am chairing today's panel. With me are Gail Anderson and Carrie Linklater. The assessor today is Clayton Diachin, and the administrative personnel is Phoebe Graywood. We will be hearing applications for revision of the business assessment role in accordance with the Municipal Assessment Act and the City of Winnipeg Charter. The matters for which revision is requested have been described in each application and will limit discussion to those matters. The statements that are made at this hearing are sworn testimony, and anyone speaking the matters must be sworn in. Be advised that comparisons of assessments are not considered evidence of market value by the board. The board is appointed annually by council and is independent of it and the city administration. It makes its decisions on the basis of the evidence provided at this hearing and issues a written order that be mailed to all parties as soon as possible. Please note that the board's decisions with respect to an application may be appealed to the Manitoba Municipal Board if the matter pertains to assessed value, or to the Court of King's Bench if the matter pertains to the application of exemptions from taxation. Should you wish to appeal, information on how to do so will be included with the board's order. With respect to the hearing process, I will confirm the points of appeal with your property to be addressed with each applicant following the swearing in. We will then have the assessor's testimony, followed by questions the applicant may have, then the applicant's testimony, followed by questions. Each side will have an opportunity to summarize if they wish. Once all the evidence about an application has been brought forward, the applicant may leave. The process will repeat for each item on the docket today. The session will close after all the applications have been heard, and the board will deliberate in private and make its decisions. You'll receive the board's decision by registered mail as soon as possible. As information, all public hearings are live streamed, recorded, and will be part of the public record. We'll be hearing items 1 through 3, 5, 6, and 9 on your docket today. Ms. Graywood, please affirm the assessor's and the applicant's testimony.
Mr. Deitchen, please state your full name.
Clayton Diachin.
Do you affirm the evidence you're about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. And Mr.
Okay.
Ryan, your full name.
Carrie Reimer.
Do you affirm the evidence you're about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Sorry I interrupted there. I was ahead of my time again. Okay, the first property on today's agenda is 260 Hargrave Street, Unit B 100. So, Mr. Diachin, you can begin.
So this is file number 24-4887. The address is B100-260 Hargrave, business assessment ID 34897. The total ARV is at $227,288 for a total square footage of 14,009 square feet. On my first page, you could see this broken down into the two premises. The first premise being 5,015 square feet, the second one being 8,994 square feet. And they are at 1,670 a square foot and 1,175 a square foot, respectively, for a total ARV of 227,280. And just looking forward at the applicant's evidence, it looks like they're seeking confirmation, so I'm not going to spend too much time on this. Then just on page 2 is just the property information. Page 3 and 4, just some pictures of the property. Excuse me. Page 5, 6, 7 are just the 2025 Realty Board order. And you can see the decision was based on the recommendation by the Assessment and Taxation Department. Page 8 is just the summary of our OFB study for our OFB's rent comparables, which is in a separate document, but again, I'm not going to go too deep into it. And then page 9, 10, 11, and 12 are just the mailers for the subject property. And that's my evidence. Thank you.
Okay, any questions, Mr. Reimer? Okay, I could read your lips saying no.
Sorry, no questions. Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Anderson, questions?
I have no questions, thank you.
Ms. Linklater?
I also have no questions. Thank you.
Okay, your presentation, Mr. Reimer.
Yes, indeed, we are seeking confirmation of the present business assessment under 54(1) of the Act. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Any questions arising from that, Mr. Diachin?
No, thank you.
Any questions from the panel on that?
No
Okay,
questions. Thank you.
all right. So thank you for that. We'll move on to 200 gram. So, Mr. Diachin, you can proceed with 200 gram.
Excuse me. This one is file number 24-4666. The address is 200 Graham Avenue. The business assessment ID is at 30251. The total square footage is 15,724 square feet out of base ARV per square foot is 1729 a square foot. Brings the ARV to $314,340. I actually do have a recommendation for this property. Using $17 a square foot times this the area of 15,724, along with the occupancy costs equals 309,780 ARV.
Okay, and Mr. Rem, how do you feel about that number?
We're in agreement with that value of 309,780. Thank you.
I thought you might be. Okay. Any questions, Ms. Linklater?
I have no questions. Thank you.
Ms. Anderson?
I have no questions, thank you.
Okay, we'll move along to 234 Donald Street then.
Sorry, I'm just
Alright.
pulling.
So 234 Donald Street.
Okay. This is file number 244768, 234 Donald Street. The business assessment ID is 19267. It's actually a parking structure. It's 497 stalls at a ARV of 617,280. And that is $103.50 per stall. Again, looking ahead at the applicant's evidence, they're seeking confirmation, so I'm not going to spend too much more time on this. Page 3 is an overhead picture of the subject property, and then page 4 is just the comps we have for parking structures, and then the remaining pages are just the mailers. And that is my evidence. Thank you.
Okay, any questions, Mr. Reimer?
No questions.
Ms. Anderson?
I have no questions, thank you.
Ms. Linklater?
I have no questions. Thank you.
Okay, your presentation, Mr. Reimer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Requesting that the present business assessment be confirmed under 54(1). Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. So we'll move to 268 Fort. So you can begin on 268 Fort, Mr. Diachin.
Yeah, it's file number 24-4965. Address is 268 Fort Street. The business assessment ID is 202000. And this is 6,916 square feet at a total ARV of 105,720. Again, same situation looking ahead. It looks like the applicant is seeking confirmation, so I'll quickly go through the rest of this. Page 2 is just the property description. Page 3, 4 are some pictures of the subject. Page 5 is the rent comparables we use for this property. Page 6 and 4 is just the mailer for the subject, and that is my evidence. Thank you.
Okay, any questions, Mr. Reimer?
No questions.
Ms. Linklater?
I have no questions. Thank you.
Ms. Anderson? Okay, so Mr. Reimer, your presentation and
Are requesting 54(1) confirmation at this time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So we will go on to 287 Broadway then. Mr. Dietz, your presentation.
Okay. So this one is file number 24-4644. The address is 600-287 Broadway. The business assessment ID is 53773. This is total square footage of 9,268 square feet. The base ARV of $12.44 a square foot brings the total ARV with occupancy costs to $140,340. Again, I believe, looking forward at the applicant's evidence, it is seeking, or they are seeking confirmation, so I'll quickly skim through. Page 3 and 4, just the photos of the subject. Page 5 is the rent comparables we used for the property. And then page 6 and 4 are just the mailers for the subject. And that is my evidence. Thank you.
Okay, questions, Mr. Reimer?
No questions.
Ms. Henderson? You're on mute. Okay, Ms. Linkley?
No questions, thank you.
Okay, so your presentation, Mr. Reimer.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. Request that the present business assessment be confirmed under 54.1. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Now, our last property today is 360 Portage. So, Mr. Diachin, you can begin on that one.
Sorry, just 1 second. Okay. And this one is file number 24-4529. The address is 360 Portage Avenue. The business assessment ID is 38290. The total area for this business is 517,592 square feet at a base ARV of $28 a square foot, along with the occupancy cost brings the ARV to $15,890,100. And we are looking to maintain that ARV today. Continuing on to page 2, this is the order from the realty appeal. So it was reduced. You can see on page 2, it doesn't specify, but it was reduced to, I believe, $20 a square foot. But this was based on a OFA, and we are standing on the fact that it should be considered a double A property, as we could see on page 5 are the comparables that we used. From True North Square at 242 Hargrave, you could see the rents that range from $27.50 to $32. The average rent is $30.52, with the weighted average being $31.10 and the median being $31. So that is what we believe is the best comparison for this property. And then just continue on is the realty brief we had used, because this was quite an extensive property. But we can see some of the information here. I'm not going to go too deep into it, but there's a lot of pictures from page 10 all the way through. And then near the end is just the mailer for the property on pages 114 and 115. And that's my evidence. Thank you.
Okay, questions, Mr. Reimer?
Mr. Deitchen, you made reference to the Board of Revision order on your page 3, and I'm not going to belabor it because of the circumstances here, but we can agree that the board, for the realty assessment, the board did apply the NOI that we presented in connection with the realty assessment appeal, correct?
Yeah, I believe, yeah. Yep.
Mr. Chairman, rather than belabor it, I'll explain the situation in my presentation, and that would be the extent of my questions for the purpose of this matter. Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Anderson, questions? I think you're still muted there.
Oh, sorry about that. My apologies. In your, when you were going through page 1 of your presentation, you indicated during the Realty Board hearing that the property was considered an OF. I didn't catch the rest of your comment in that regard.
I can't speak to it too much because I didn't do that, but I believe it was considered an A property, whereas we are standing on the fact that it is a double A property above those ones.
Okay. And can you just explain a double A property?
They're just higher end properties, like we said, compared to like True North Square. Like I'm not too versed with this property, but from my understanding, it's one of the best buildings in Canada. So we feel that it should be on the very high end of the rent per square foot.
Okay, thank you. Those are all my questions. Thank you for your presentation.
Okay, Ms. Linklater.
I have no questions at this time. Thank you.
Okay, so double A, that you're saying that would be True North Square. Would that include the Portage and Main towers or not?
I don't believe so.
Okay, so Wawanesa building perhaps
Yeah, from my understanding, we weren't able to get the rents for that yet, but at some point we might. But yeah, we don't have the rents unfortunately yet for that one.
yeah, I wonder if that would be owner occupied though. Um
Yeah.
okay, thank you for that then. Mr. Ramy, you can begin your presentation.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. And I didn't want to belabor the questioning for Mr. Deitchen in connection with this matter. Quite bluntly, it's a matter on for the realty assessment that was heard by this board, and I'm certainly very aware of the position that Mr. Deitchen is in this morning. The fundamental difference in the calculation of the pardon me, of the ARV relates back to the realty assessment appeal, where recall, Mr. Chairman, I had the one question that both parties can agree that the Board of Revision did apply the NOI as presented by, at that time, Altus, now Ryan. So that in turn was based on a market net rent of $20 a square foot. So if we go to our submission initially on page 2, this is, of course, the Hydro building at 360 Portage. What we're requesting this morning is to reduce the business assessment from 15,890,100 down to 11,749,320. That in turn is based on the precise market rent of $20 for this premise that was applied with respect to the realty assessment appeal, and that was ordered by the board in their order when they reduced the realty assessment. On page 4, this is what we are, and Mr. Deitchen, I think, framed the issue very concisely. Fundamentally, the difference in our approach relative to the assessment department's approach is we are considering it to be a Class A, not a double A, but an A building at 360 Portage. It was constructed in 2009. Very, very large premise area, obviously, at 517,592. If you go then briefly to page 5, and this is also in Mr. Deitchen's evidence, the 25 realty assessment was reduced from 209,954 to 137,391 so a very significant reduction. Again, the board ordered the reduction, and they did state in the order that it was based on the net operating income presented by our firm. And as we've attached a copy of the submission, as Mr. Deitchen has for the department's submission, our submission was based on that $20 rate, and that is the ARV that we're requesting the board apply this morning in a manner consistent with the realty assessment appeal. So if you go to page 6, then you can see with the $20 rate applied and the occupancy costs, we come in at the suggested ARV of $11,749,320. I did want to, based on the very brief questions, and again, I won't belabor it either. This is a sort of an ongoing issue that ultimately on the realty side is going to be determined at the municipal board. But the that issue of the Class A versus AA, I just wanted to point out, based on the board's questions, a couple of things. If we could go to page 17 initially, I'm just going to touch on a couple of things. So this is now our realty assessment brief that was submitted to the board. It's a 24-story Class A. Again, we're classifying it as an A office tower, done completed in 2009. The gross building area is 804,000, includes 3 mechanical floors. It is connected to the second level walkway, but there's a couple of significant difficulties with respect to the building. Firstly, on page 17, we note that there's only a 1-level underground parkade with 152 stalls, which isn't at all sufficient for the building. A two-story, a 2-level parkade was planned, but was altered to 1 because of the high water table. So the lack of parking is definitely a problem. What I also wanted to go to, skip over and I'll find that page reference. Page 19. This is still sort of describing the building. So obviously the building is very, very efficient. The utility costs resulting from those efficiencies, the utility costs are 30 to 40% of those for a typical office tower. So that's obviously a big plus. But we go on to say that the subject exhibits many characteristics, and this is on page 19 now, that the market would deem as super adequate or even deficient. It's not possible to demise the floors into multiple units because of the requirement for the open airflow. The floor plates that are in place are based strictly on the requirements for efficiency and not driven by a design that the market would demand, which as a result of that, there is a lack of flexibility for tenant preferences. The interior finishes, and I've been in this building, the interior finishes are, the word that we've used there is Spartan. They're quite minimal, cement ceilings and new acoustic tiles. The use of computer control blinds for temperature control means there's a lack of area specific climate control. And the waterfalls, and I don't know if the members have been, and Mr. Deitchin's been in the building, but there's the atrial waterfalls. And those are used to humidify and dehumidify the air, but they're not entirely effective as well. So again, fundamentally, this comes down to we're classifying it as an A and requesting that the board at this hearing apply the same $20 rate that this board had applied in connection with the realty assessment hearing, and then request the reduction in the ARV accordingly. Thank you.
All right. Questions, Mr. Deitchin?
No, thank you.
Okay, Ms. Linklater.
I have no questions. Thank you.
Ms. Anderson.
Well, I have no questions. Thank you for your presentation.
Okay, thank you for this as well. I have no questions that haven't been asked and answered or explained in your brief, so thank you very much for that. We've now heard all the properties on today's agenda, and this hearing is now adjourned. So thank you very much, gentlemen, for your presentations.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Have a good day, everyone.
You both.
Bye.